Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Public Offender 100 channel. I appreciate everybody joining me today. I got a very interesting video queued up for us here. Apparently, there's this content creator on YouTube called Homath. I just stumbled across this page randomly earlier today. I watched several of his videos, and I'm gonna just share one with you, and you guys will get the idea about like what I'm saying about him overall by this one video. Now, this is I just want to set this up. I'm just telling everybody right now that's going to watch my video that if you listen to this type of stuff as a man, this is why you are failing as a man. This is like rhetoric like this is the reason why men are stuck. It is a large contributing factor. He has hundreds of thousands, millions of views combined, you know what I'm saying? Probably billions of views combined on all of his videos. You know, but or should I say, with that, with that being the case, I'm like, okay, obviously a lot of men are consuming this. And he's not saying like he may frame it in an entertaining way and his video may be entertaining or whatever the case may be, but just the sentiment around what he's saying is why men are actually failing, right? He is just in this video just lying to men pretty much. And when men look around, this is why I don't really feel bad for us as a group, because we are our own worst enemy. But the problem that I have with men overall is not only are we're not, it's not bad enough that we are our own worst enemy, we are also everybody else's. That's where I draw the line. It's like, okay, you want to shoot yourself in the foot, so be it, but leave them alone, right?
Question for the men. Do you guys still want to get married?
I think what you're asking is, do you want to be married? And I think that a lot of men would say yes.
Yes. Most adult men end up getting married overall in this country, black men aside, because we don't. But most men end up getting married in America at some point in time. So yeah, I would say most men do want to be married and get married right off the bat. Did did we ever want to get married? Yeah, we always wanted to get married, um, because marriage has historically benefited men, and it still does benefit men. So yeah, men still want to get married.
Yes, I do want a partner to spend my life with. But when you say, do you want to get married? I'm not sure if you're keeping in mind all these extra steps.
Men are not getting married so that they could not only so they can have a partner to spend the rest of their life with. They're getting married so that they could steal a woman's labor at the end of the day. That's what they're getting married for. They're getting married so that they can have kids and have a lineage, which they would they would confuse with a legacy, and then they can have a woman to raise that quote unquote legacy. They want a woman to take care of them. They want a woman to make their doctor's appointments. They want a woman to grocery shop, cook, clean, suck, fuck, everything else, all those things. That's what a man really wants. It's not about the life partnership. That's really not what it's about for most men.
When you say, do you want to get married? I'm not sure if you're keeping in mind all these extra steps that come before and the possible ones after. Here's a guy living in a cardboard box with his ex-wife in his house with other men.
Um, I know this is a lot of men's worst nightmare, but I want to tell you guys something. Here's what I'm saying. I'm going to debunk this step by step. Most men don't pay alimony. Most men don't lose everything in divorce. Um, most women don't remarry, and most women don't have threesomes with random men in the home that was left to them for their kids, with their kids in it. More than likely, they don't bring random guys in there to have threesomes. I mean, I'm not saying this never happens, this scenario he's painting. I'm saying nobody on earth has ever seen it, though. If that makes sense, right? Never seen it. I mean, maybe it happens somewhere at some point in time, but it pretty much never happens.
You have to keep in mind that happens with roughly 1/3 of new marriages. And that
No, no. Divorce happens. See, you got to listen. Men, I know you guys are it's really tough for us to think critically. You got to listen to what he's saying. He's mixing in truth with lies. 1/3 of new marriages end in divorce. Absolutely. Okay. because most people get divorced within the first 7 years. But he said this, and the picture he painted was this: a man losing all of his shit, which almost never happens, and the woman getting the house and having all of this money, and there's 3 random dudes. Now, first and foremost, let me just establish the most obvious thing. Most men don't make enough money for this scenario to be true, first and foremost. Secondly, most millennials don't own a home. And Gen Z and millennials will be the new people getting married. Younger millennials and Gen Z are the people getting married right now, by and large, because most people get married around the age 29 to 30, right? So I'm speaking to Gen Z and millennials right now. You don't own your home. You're probably not going to own a home. Most millennials and Gen Z aren't going to own homes, sadly, right? So you're not going to lose your home to your wife. You guys may move out of your apartment or your condo that you're renting, or even a house that you're renting, but you're not going to lose your home. I'm just speaking in reality. I'm just speaking in reality, since we're talking numbers, because he's saying this is happening to 1/3. It's not. 1/3 of Gen Z ain't buying a home right now, especially at the age of 29. Get the hell out of here. So back to what I was saying. If this were to happen, though, right, the woman in this scenario more than likely has kids, because most people who get married have kids. Most people have kids within the first 7 years of their marriage, and most divorces happen within the first 7 years of the marriage, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is, when you put all that together, this woman has kids, young kids, that she needs somewhere to, and they need somewhere to stay, right? The man typically makes more money than the woman, and that is no fault of the woman's. That is the fault of A, society, and B, possibly and probably a choice between the man and the woman, because typically what happens is when you have small children, somebody has to be at home, somebody has to be there for them. And I'm not even saying all the time. My kids get out at 2:00. I work from home. My wife goes to work every day, but she gets out around 3:30, 4:00. She's an educator, so she gets home around the same time that they do. But they need somebody here with them. They need somebody here with them. They need somebody to receive them. My son, when he gets off the bus, right? That's now, by the way. My kids are in the 3rd and the 6th grade. But when my children were 3 and 6, it was a little bit different, right? Somebody had to be there at all times. Typically in this country, that person is the woman, right? Now, we can get into the why. I'm not even getting into that right now. But it's typically the woman. The woman sacrifices her money. She sacrifices her earning potential, because had she not had kids, had she not risked her life, by the way, to have children, right, that both of you guys agreed to have, she would be able to make substantially and significantly more money, right? So if she was able to make $50,000 a year, right, not even going crazy, $45,000 a year, while the kids are small, I'm sorry, if she didn't have kids, so she has to take a pay cut. Sometimes she can't work at all. So let's say she's taking in between I don't know, I'm just basing it on lived experiences, I guess, at this point. She stays at home for 2 years, 3 years, right? 50 grand, whatever, 45 grand, whatever you want to call it, $135,000 she's lost out on. Plus, interest in her, putting money in her 401k for those 3 years, she's lost out on, right? And she's lost out on work experience. Now, let's say that woman doesn't fully stay home, but she has to be there too. She has to make her schedule fit the kid's schedule. Less flexibility, less money. So she took another pay cut, or she's taking a pay cut, right? Another one, by the way, because she already took one for the first 2 years, 3 years. Now she's taking another pay cut. It's time for her to go back to work, right? The kids are old enough. She wants to put them in daycare. You guys are putting them in daycare. So I'm just, that's a bill aside. Now you guys are putting the kids in daycare. She can go to work, but she can't make $50,000 a year, right? She's making 38 because she needs to work a certain type of job that will allow her the flexibility to take time off when the kids get sick, move her days around at, need be. Not she has to be there to drop the kids off at school, so she can't start at 7 o'clock. She got to start at 10 o'clock, whatever the case may be, right? All these things. So she's a server, she's she works at Starbucks, whatever the case may be. She took a pay cut. So she lost $150,000 the first time around, $150,000 first time around. Now, let's do a $20,000. So now she lost another. Let's say that lasts for another. I don't know what's safe to say, because 3 years wouldn't even be. But let's say 3 years. Let's just keep it low for everybody. Another 3 years. That's $60,000. Add that on to that first $150,000. $210,000 plus 401k plus all the other stuff. No experience. Now she wants to go get, she's freed up more and she can go get a better job. I would say not a real job, but a better job, right? Going to be a little bit tough. Lack of experience, maybe who knows about the educational, level or whatever the case may be. But she forever is going to take a pay cut because of that. She has lost, you don't know how much money she has lost had she not had children, right? And then in year 7, you guys get divorced. She doesn't deserve to recoup some of that money because she's never getting it back. She's never going to be made whole again. But the reason why this system is set up by men, by the way, is because, bro, if you guys get divorced, she's just shit out of luck. And you got kids. You want your wife not to have a place to live? What are you talking about? You lost all of this stuff. She helped you accumulate this wealth. Men make more money when they get married. Women make less money when they get married. Men make more money when they have kids. Women make less money when they have kids. Men live longer when they get married. Women don't live as long when they get married. All net positives for men. And it directly points to this. Of course, she should be compensated, but she's never going to be made whole again. Somebody asked me the other day, who loses out more in divorce, men or women? I said women, because they already took their hit in the beginning, and that interest is compound, right? You only take a hit in the end. If you take a hit at all as a man, if you take a hit at all, you only take a hit in the end. Are we not going to acknowledge all the money that you were able to accumulate while with her? Some of that money is hers. That property might be hers. You guys have kids, only makes sense. It wouldn't be a fight. She can have the house. It's not a fight for me. As long as she can pay for it. She can't afford it, by the way, because how can a single mother afford to pay the mortgage on the home? But if with your alimony and child support, and she gets a job and she can afford to do it, great. Isn't that what you want? You don't want your kids to have somewhere to live? You don't want to have the woman that just took care of you for 7 years. You don't want her to have somewhere to live, whether it ended or not. Y'all want to punish the women afterwards. So this dude is just lying to you guys. You guys can look any of this stuff up and debunk what he's saying. Just because he made it colorful and he's talking in this cadence and in this tone and this quirky music, but it doesn't mean that he's right. He's actually wrong. You should go look this shit up for yourself. I promise you the shit that I'm saying, if you go investigate it, is true. I promise you the shit he's saying is not true. The only thing he said thus far that was true is that 1/3 of young marriages end in divorce. Yep. That's the only thing he said is true. So 1 grain of truth, 3 grains of bullshit so far.
To keep in mind that happens with roughly 1/3 of new marriages, and that's only for the men who have the opportunity to get married, which is contingent upon a bunch of steps that have changed quite a bit over the years. So in order to get married, you have to date, and in order to date, you have to work and make money, and in order to work and make money, you have to go to school. And men have been facing a lot of new difficulties in all of these areas over the last few decades.
No, they haven't. Men aren't facing new difficulties. Everybody is facing new difficulties because women can't go to college for free like they used to or for cheap, nor can men. Women, the school system isn't set up for boys or girls. Girls just tend to do a little bit better or significantly better in school than men because of the entitlement that little boys are taught and have. That's a part of it, right? The boys will be boys bullshit, right? And I get it. Boys bounce off the walls a little bit more and all of that stuff, and school is more restrictive, but school is actually better than it's ever been for little boys now. So what he's saying is the opposite of the. I have little boys in school. It's way more accommodating than it was when he and I were in school, right? Way more accommodating in the last 15, 20 years. Way more. I'm 42. Way more. So they're not facing challenges now. It's not more challenges now. Just it's pure bullshit.
So, do I want to have a partner? Yes. But do I want to go through all of this again? Not right now.
You mean you don't want to just do normal work? You don't want to do just normal stuff like go to school, get a job, and pay for dates? Just the most normal basic shit. You don't want to go to school, get a job, and pay for dates. Okay. So MGTOW it is.
So you want to get married, you have to date, you want to date, you have to work, you want to work, you have to go to school. This is where a lot of male problems begin. I'm not saying that schoolgirls have it easy, but the last few decades, schoolboys have been treated like they are defective. In third grade, I used to finish my work before the other kids, and I would get up and move around, and they told me that was not okay, so they medicated me. When I got a little older, the other boys would start fights, and I went to the authorities to do the right thing, and they punished both of us. So then I took matters into my own hands, and they punished just.
You see how he's using his own personal experiences, his anecdotal experiences, to act like this is what's happening in the school system. And I'm not saying that I'm not a defender of the school system. I'm not. But I don't need to lie about it either. And having small boys in the system right now, once again, the school system is not good for kids in general. It's not. But it's better than it was in 1950 and 1940 when the men were getting married. So stop blaming school. It's not that. It's something else. They were never. Look, sir, they put you on meds. They weren't even putting little boys on meds back then. The only difference is back then they were more tolerant of little boys' bad behaviors, right? They were more. They didn't actually address it. They would just let it go. They would just be like, boys will be boys. Now they're addressing it. And at its core, by the way, a lot of boys' bad behaviors is rooted in misogyny, even as little boys. The entitlement that little boys have because we teach it from little boys on up. It affects them in school. Not teaching them discipline, and I'm not talking about whooping them. I'm saying actual discipline, like doing your homework every day, teaching them to actually pursue an education and why it's important. Not telling them that, you don't got to be a brainiac to go to college. Or I'm sorry, you don't have to be a brainiac and go the college route. Men aren't passing that on to other men and little boys. We're not doing that. We have an epidemic of anti-intellectualism fueled by spiteful, jealous men. That's what it is. Entitled, spiteful, jealous men. That's what's going on. And we're passing it on to our little boys.
Me.
Also, historically, men were able to get blue collar jobs that would afford them the opportunity to buy homes and things of that nature. That has changed for sure. But that's the whole economy. That's not the economy is worse for women too. It's not better for, you know what I mean? Like it's bad for everybody. But I've said this before. I'm sorry. The economy has never been better for women simply because women are able. Women have never been more free in this country. So in that regard, the economy is better for women, but they are still more oppressed than men are. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the best it's been for them, but it's still worse for them overall compared to men, right? Whereas for men, the economy is terrible, right? Because it's terrible for everybody. And it's worse than it was for our parents. We're the first generation millennials, first generation of kids set up to do worse than our parents, no doubt about it. But that's across the board, men and women. So that's not the reason we're struggling, though. The reason why we're struggling is because men, like I said, not enough men are telling little boys to get an education, and we don't put a large onus on an education as a country especially for boys. Women, hey man, all the odds are stacked against them. They value education, so they go to school and get an education. They know they got to work. They know they got to be 2, 3, 4 times better at whatever job to get it than a man does. So they go on and they do that.
Because of these policies, they don't let boys just fight it out anymore. Those types of policies are not setting young boys up for success. They punish the way that we natively look at the world. It definitely messed me up a little, and that was 30 years ago, and I have no idea what's going on now. When we get older and go to college, there are all kinds of things in place to help girls that are not.
More grants and scholarships are granted to men than women. You can go look it up. Mainly white men specifically, but more grants and scholarships are granted to men. Once again, you can just go look this stuff up. He's lying again. This is wrong. This is categorically wrong. Women don't have an advantage getting scholarships and grants. Once again, this is false. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's more women enrolled in college, but men get more grants and scholarships per capita. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Not available for boys, and they say that it's there to correct problems, but I don't think those problems exist anymore. So
based on what? Why don't you think the problems exist? They still do exist. What makes you think they don't exist? Just because you don't think they don't exist?
as we are accumulating what we need to succeed in life, boys are getting less of a head start than they used to, which
they used to get a head start over women, a significant head start over women. They still have a head start. It's just not as significant. He's complaining because the head start wasn't as significant. Women didn't have as many obstacles in front of them as before. That's what that's what he's complaining about. That's what he's complaining. Listen, that's what he's saying. How are you men? Don't fall for this. This is deadly for men. I'm not even joking. This will lead you down a dark, desperate path. This is not a path to happiness. This is not an excuse. This is not the answer to everything. This is just wrong. It's just wrong. There's nothing that this is all wrong.
Which is, I think, one of the contributing reasons for why they say men they have Peter Pan syndrome and they never grow up. I think it starts here. When we get into the workplace, there are similar programs that benefit women and not men. And that's an issue because women want to make equal money.
See, he doesn't understand intersectionality because DEI doesn't only benefit women. It the same thing. DEI isn't a government, like isn't affirmative action, by the way. It's just a policy that a lot of companies have adopted because the you can go look at the numbers. The numbers say, damn, it's very white and very male once you get past a certain level. So we need to diversify this. Once again, you can go look this up. I'm not doing all this research for you guys. He's not doing anything either. He just drew some fancy pictures. But you can go look this stuff up. At a certain level, when it comes to corporate America, it is very white and very male. Right? DEI is for everybody else that isn't white and male. Who is second in line? White female. Right? So white females get an advantage over pretty much everybody else. Right? But they don't have an advantage over white males. White males still have the advantage. DI would, in theory, it should put more East Asians up there, should put more Black people up there, should put more Latinos up there and Latinas up there. That's also what it's for in theory. DI culture isn't a bad thing unless you are and I'm saying to this, unless you're a white male who is used to a certain level of privilege and advantages and a certain number of advantages. That's what he's complaining about.
To men, but then they also want men to make more and support them, and you can't have both. But then they also want men and not men. And that's an issue because women want to make equal money to men, but then they also want men to make more and support them, and you can't have both. Additionally, the culture has become very inhospitable towards men, and again, the way that men...
They want men to make more, sir, because first of all, the average man makes more money than the average woman. So if the average woman and the average man meet, the average woman expects him to make more money, right? Because that's the system. The system says I'm an average woman, he's an average man, he should make more money than me. If that man doesn't make more money than her, he is not an average man. He is a below average man. So she's just looking for the average man. That's it. You guys are looking at it wrong. First, when it comes to that. Secondly, a woman, is nothing wrong with a woman wanting a man to make some more money than her. Because most people get married within the same socioeconomic status as I have repeated 1,000 times. That's not the issue. That's not an issue that a woman wants a man who makes more money than her, slightly more money than her, right? Women want to be able, though, to take time off, like I already laid out in the beginning, because who is going to be the one to take care of the kids? That's what's going to happen. That's why you act like they just want a man to make more money. Oh, just because. That's why they're going to put their lives on the line to have a child. They want to make sure you could float the boat for a little while. That's it.
And communicate and behave. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the economy is getting pretty bad. And even though that affects everybody, men are the ones who are expected to pay. So this puts us at an increasing
Expected to pay what? Rent? Mortgages? No, you're not.
disadvantage comparative to women as we age. Then when we get out into the dating world, if you don't have any money, that's going to be a problem. If you can't compete on the dating apps, which most men cannot, that's going to be a problem. If
Most women are on the dating apps.
you're not okay with her having an OnlyFans or an Instagram or whatever, it's going to take.
Instagram and OnlyFans are two completely different things, but the vast majority of women don't have OnlyFans, and the vast majority of women on Instagram aren't trying to get popular on Instagram. Everybody has a fucking Instagram. My 10-year-old nephew has an Instagram. What are you talking about?
Take some women off the table because they have so much attention. So a lot of men are playing catch up at this point in life when that didn't used to be the case. So our parents and grandparents did not have any of these problems. They just sort of grew up, got jobs, and married whoever was nearby. Have you?
He's not telling the full story. What used to happen was women couldn't work, right? Black women were forced to work, but they couldn't make enough money to support themselves. So, and they couldn't own land and property and drive cars and have bank accounts and none of that stuff, right? So women couldn't really function in society without a man. They had to get married. They set up all of these stumbling blocks in front of women to force them into relationships with men. That's what happened with our grandfathers and great grandfathers and grandmothers. That's what happened. That's what happened. They didn't just, and then also, yeah, you're right. And they set the economy up in such a way, right, that all a man had to do was just work a job, like an average job, and you could buy a house and you could buy 2 cars and so on and so forth. But those women were in a living hell with those men.
You ever thought of it like, would your mother have married your father if she had Tinder? Would she have chosen him? There's stuff going on in these phases of life been unheard of even one generation ago. I once had a job where I worked with a girl. We had the same job. I had more experience. We had layoffs, and later she matched with me on Bumble and came to hook up. And I said, would you like to continue doing this? And she told me that I didn't have my life together enough. We were living in the same place, in the same job market, and we came from the same job, and I had more experience. And she was getting $120K a year to do some like women's leadership job or something, and I was driving for Uber. So, I think
Oh, he's bitter. He's bitter. Oh, you see, he started off with his personal experiences in school, and now he's talking about his personal experience on the dating market. Okay, we got it, sir. You're bitter. Okay, enough said.
a lot of people are really underestimating how much easier this makes things. So then if you can actually get to this point,
He's saying that woman got that job simply because of DI. Typical white male fragility specifically, but male fragility. He thinks that the job was owed to him, right? And he thinks that, oh, I had more experience than her, therefore I should have got the job. He seems like an unlikable person. Like, listen to his videos. He seems bitter. He seems vindictive, right? He seems bitter. So he doesn't seem like I mean, what if they just didn't like you? Because that goes into it and into the promotion process. What if they just didn't like you? No accountability whatsoever. Not anything. What did he do? It's always, oh, she stole my job. They were acting unfairly. I'm a victim. He has a victim mentality. This is a victim mentality. The thing that they always like to say, this type of man specifically, they'll say somebody that actually was victimized, talking about being victimized has a victim mentality. That's not a victim mentality. He has the mentality of a victim, but he isn't actually a victim of anything, except for his own imagination.
You, as a man, you have to take everything that you've managed to put together over the course of your life and put it all on the table for someone who is probably not doing the same. Even though women are not having a hard time in the workplace, men are still generally expected to provide, while women generally keep more of their money for themselves.
Women are having a hard time in the workplace. They're just having a better time in the workplace than they've had throughout all of the history of this country. But they're having a worse time in the worst workplace than men still.
We've all heard, my money is my money, his money is my money. I found this great little video about that.
But I just have a quick question. My husband won't see all of my accounts, right?
This is fake. This is fake. This is as fake as your video. This almost never happens. This is the 1% of people you're talking about here. If I make $70,000 and my wife makes $50,000, you don't think we're spending her money too? Are you crazy? What do you? No, I'm not letting her keep $50,000 a year while I spend my 70. The fuck? What is wrong with y'all?
I have like 8 different bank accounts, but my husband only knows about 2 of them. I've just been secretly saving for years in case I ever need to. No, say no more. I don't need to see those statements. So as far as I'm concerned, they don't exist.
Yeah, so I don't love the idea that my wife might be hiding money. Of course, I'm not allowed to do that. All of my money has
Women, first of all, men do that all the time. Second of all, men block women out when during when they have control of the finances. Men will simply change the accounts and all of that stuff and take all the money out of the accounts. Since we're just sharing video, I can share a video right now. I can share a video right now of a woman talking about it. There's videos of women talking about that. Ex-trad wives. Yeah, I know one. Jenny on TikTok. You can go look her up. Jenni. She has videos of her story. Her husband, she was married to for like 20 plus years. Long story short, she caught him cheating several times with a bunch of hookers, right? Sex workers. She caught him, sent him pictures that she caught him. By the next day, he cleaned out their accounts, locked her out of their accounts. And then in the following months, he locked her out of the business that she started for him, right? But then she took a back seat to stay at home with the kids. He locked her out of the businesses that was multi-million-dollar business. It was a multi-million-dollar business. And then he stepped down from the business, right? On paper, he stepped down so he could avoid paying alimony and child support. And she is struggling right now. She documents it all the time. So that's a reality of traditional wives. So women saving up money on the Jenny wishes she would have done what this lady is saying, because men do stuff like this all the time. Men financially abuse women constantly, sir. That's why they have to do that stuff. They're not doing that because they're evil. They're doing that because men are.
to be on the table, and there's about a 1/3 chance that you're going to be taking it to party with other dudes in the house that I bought for you. Divorce laws have changed too. You used to need a really good reason to get divorced, but now it can happen just because someone is not happy. They even write songs about it. Check this out. I have to mute it for copyright. I'll read it to you.
So he wants to get rid of no-fault divorces. Surprise, surprise. He wants to go back in the day when women couldn't work, women couldn't own bank accounts, women couldn't drive cars, and women couldn't get divorced simply because they wanted to, right? When they were in abusive relationships with men and they were completely unhappy, disconnected from the man. That's not okay for a woman to get divorced. They need a really good reason, which is what the only reason you can get. Back in the day, cheating wasn't even a good enough reason most of the time.
Might be the only guy who didn't send me hearted eyes in reply to my latest story. We work well on paper, we don't argue, we don't fight, but lighting scented candles just won't relight up our fire. And right there she goes, ah. It ain't that bad, it's just not what I wanted, don't want to live this life half-hearted. Hang on, here it comes. I want fireworks and flames. Don't want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough. That ain't love. This is the squircle of unconsciousness. It represents how people don't know how relationships work, and so they think the relationship is going to go like this, and then it turns a corner. I think she's at the dissatisfied part. You can't have everything is exciting all the time. Good choices are boring. No relationships are going to be fun the whole time. They're all going to have spots where there's no fire, but she don't want.
That's not what she's talking about. That's, once again, first, what she's talking about is the man isn't, he's just not fulfilling her wants or needs. Men are historically neglectful. She's just making it pretty into like lyrics and stuff like that. But if you break this down in a practical way, she's like, why doesn't he give me the same feeling that I give him? You know what I'm saying? Why doesn't he appreciate me the way that I appreciate him? That's really it. And that's and at its core of all of this stuff, that's the real problem, is that men refuse to actually just grow and be better people. So instead, you guys would rather invest hours in making these dumbass videos and taking these anecdotal experiences and amplifying them and blowing them out of proportion, acting like this is the real issue, when in reality, the issue the whole time was you. You are the problem, sir. The call is coming from inside the house. All you have to do, if you want to get married and you want to be in a happy, healthy relationship, is work hard, have a job, don't make excuses, be educated, not formally necessarily, but educate yourself. If you're not going to get a formal education, be educated, have a high level of EQ, be consistent, be patient, have empathy, and have integrity. That's really all you have to do. It's very simple, but it's really hard for most men to embody these characteristics. The days of us just getting a job and coercing women into abusive relationships with men, they're over for now. Thank goodness. I don't know how long it's going to last, but they're over for now for the most part.
Want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough. That's not even love. Look how passionate she is about dumping her husband. That's real, I can spot a faker. And she even sings about other men giving her googly eyes on her Instagram stories. So this girl is what I would call an excitement chaser. She starts out her new relationships excited, and over time gets bored when they're not chaotic, and then by the time we notice she's bored, she's already got a new guy lined up, and this has pretty nasty effects on us. So
when men get in relationships, what ends up happening is, in the beginning, they pay a lot of attention to the woman. In the middle, they stop paying attention to the woman. The middle towards the end, they stop paying attention to the woman. That's it. We cracked the case, Shaggy. Like, what are you talking about? This is what look, bro. Take it from a man that's actually been with a good amount of women and who has been married for a long time. What you're talking about isn't true. That's it. I'm just telling man, you can listen to this loser who's who's bitter and strikes out with women constantly. You can take it from this guy. You can take it from a man that's in a actual relationship with a woman and actually holds and hugs a woman every day and kisses on her and she kisses on him. And we've been through a bunch of struggles and ups and downs and yada, 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 all that stuff, right? I'm telling you what happens the vast majority of the time. You can listen to me or you can listen to him. Because I guarantee you, if you listen to him, he is going to lead you down a path of despair. You're going to be lonely and bitter just like him, making these silly videos online.
Your relationship satisfaction is going to change over time, but your stability is not supposed to. That's what marriage is. That's what it's for. Even when you start feeling like things are not as fun, you have to remember that commitments are what gets you through the swings. I actually have a little theory that this takes about a year. Obviously,
commitments don't get you through the swings. Doing the work gets you through the swings. He just wants the women to be like, you signed on the dotted line. You said till death do us part. I told people earlier today, change your vows. We can avoid all of this as a culture. Change the vows. Change the vows. No more till death do us part. That's crazy. That's nuts. That's irresponsible. No more till death do us part. Till you fuck up. Till you stop paying attention to me. Till you neglect me. Till you cheat on me, let's say. Till you stop putting in the effort you put in to get me in the beginning. How about that? Let's change the vows to that. So that way men can feel better, because they're tricking you with this shit as if they care about men don't care about vows either.
we get up and go to sleep with the sun, and women have changes in their hormones and emotions with the moon. And I think that a year is the amount of time that it takes to find somebody and have that strong emotional connection, get pregnant, and have a child. It's about 1 year altogether. And this girl is making a spiritual experience out of a biological process, and she's allowed to end the marriage over it. So it's not that I don't want a partner, it's just that a lot of us don't have what we need to build.
You don't have what it takes to make another human being happy because you yourself aren't happy. You don't know what it takes to help another human being be content because you're not content. That's all it is. Just say that.
Build a partnership, and even if we get it, it could fall apart immediately. She could squircle herself into believing it's not love and have a phone in her pocket with 1,400 horny guys on it, and then I end up here. So,
except for that's what men do, not women. The thing he is describing is the things that men do exponentially more than women.
So what you've done by fighting for equality is you've basically said, hey, you want to play a game of chess? I get all queens, though. Hey, where are you going?
Do you guys still want to get married? Like, is that still a thing?
No, it's not like that at all. Women don't have the advantage. Women don't have the advantage. Like, they just don't, man. They don't. It's crazy. But like they say, to the oppressor, equality looks like oppression, right? And women are far from equal, but them getting any gains towards equity and equality feels like oppression, especially to white men in our society. So there you go.